I'd like to thank people for their attendance at this workshop and apologise for the fact that I'm not able to be here in person. KPMG was engaged by the Municipal Association of Victoria earlier on this year to have a look at cloud computing and to provide some insight into how cloud computing is being used around the local government sector, not just in Victoria but internationally, and perhaps provide some food for thought to some of the councils as to what cloud computing is and what sort of an opportunity it presents for local government as KPMG sees it, and some examples of things that we've observed that might be useful for you in the provision of services that you provide for your councils. As part of that effort, we spent some time interviewing a number of councils. We went out and visited 7 councils around the Victorian area. We used KPMG's global network to get access to exemplars of good performance around cloud and innovations around cloud computing that we felt were useful in a Victorian government environment. And we've collated a bunch of information associated with that and have some stuff that we'd like to present to you now, and some materials that the MAV have got that they can share with you in the future. I guess it's important to start with an introduction and to introduce cloud computing as a concept. I'm mindful that this audience is not necessarily an audience of IT people, but I can assure you that your IT people will be aware of cloud computing. It's a big topic in the IT space at the moment. And essentially it's not that difficult a concept. Cloud computing is a term that's used loosely to describe the sharing of computing resources by multiple different organisations, and largely speaking it drives increased capacity at a lower cost in the IT space. Increased capacity at a lower cost in the IT space, but the model for cloud computing is all about sharing resources. So you make use of somebody else's server, you might make use of somebody else's systems and adopt processes that allow you to make use of those systems at a much lower cost than previously had been the case. There are several advantages to this from a purely IT point of view. One, as I say, is the base cost goes down, but the other is a lot of resources are required to be able to make your systems work effectively and to make them work really efficiently. Those resources, those specialist resources, are not required in a cloud environment. The cloud provider has to build up some capability internally to be able to support multiple different organisations, but they can do that with the same set of resources that you might use just to do your own environment, just look after your own environment. And as a result of that, there are significant savings associated with adoption of cloud technologies, just from an IT point of view. Now, cloud is not just about the use of a single server from another party. It extends to infrastructure. There are cloud network provision options, storage, and a lot of the services that are important in the back office of your IT shop, disaster recovery, business continuity, and things of that type, can be provided by cloud suppliers. The other advantage of cloud from an IT point of view is that a lot of the metrics, availability, uptime, resilience and response time in your IT environment can be provided much more cheaply by a cloud provider. Now, all of that's good and it sounds very attractive from the point of view of an IT guy, but our view, KPMG's view, is that the opportunity that cloud presents to local government is much broader than IT. Apart from an introduction which frames these questions in terms of technology, our primary concern in talking about cloud with local government is to talk about the opportunity that it provides for the business. So this conversation is a business-oriented conversation, and our recommendation to all of the people who are attending this workshop is that if you're a CEO, if you're a leader of the council, if you're a Lord Mayor, please take this opportunity to be aware of what cloud can do for you and to have a conversation with your IT people about the ability of your organisation to use cloud to get business outcomes. your IT people are thinking about cloud, we think if the business people think about cloud with them, there's an opportunity for a much better outcome for everybody. So why is cloud important? As we've indicated, sharing IT resources can deliver many forms of benefit. Convenience, lower cost of IT, less need for specialist resources, and all of those are important to your IT people. But the opportunity that KPMG sees in cloud is the ability to deliver better quality and previously unavailable services. You can do that purely by using IT capability that otherwise wouldn't be available to you at a lot less cost because you're sharing the service in a way that previously you couldn't. Our point though is that sharing IT resources is generally only the first step. Once you get familiar and comfortable with the idea of sharing processes, sharing resources, there's a significantly greater benefit that we believe is available to you. The cloud model is a collaboration model, and the idea of collaborating is much more important for organizations like public sector organizations than it is for many others. A lot of your clients may deal with multiple councils. A lot of the services that you offer involve working with other councils, and so a cloud model is very appropriate to that sort of environment. We're very aware that the public sector is resource constrained, so it's very difficult for each council to come up with its own initiatives and to fund those independently. Where you can share, where you can collaborate, there's an opportunity of doing more with each individual group paying less, and we think that's a key thing for cloud. So when we look at local government and cloud, what we see is a series of ticks against every box that we would consider when we're looking at cloud and its suitability for an environment. Local government lacks funding, and cloud offerings can decrease direct IT costs in a range of areas. Cloud offerings can also deliver core services to your organisation at a much lower cost. We know your customers are expecting more and more, and the speed to market of new cloud offerings tends to be significantly greater. It's much quicker for an individual that's running a company that's trying to support 50 different organisations to take on board the latest version of a new mobility device or the latest version of a new operating system than it is for you to be able to do that as one organisation. Platforms for deployment of new information services or content can now be deployed literally in minutes. So if you're using something like Amazon Cloud or Google Cloud, a new offering, a new portal offering that you might have available on the internet can be made, the environment for that can be made available much more quickly than would ever be possible with you providing that infrastructure yourselves. And as we say, cloud and the cloud model can fundamentally reorient your approach. The principle of sharing finds itself pertinent across more than just IT. The cloud model is a collaboration model, and what we've seen as we've gone from place to place looking at the way in which local government entities are using cloud is examples of collaboration. Councils working together, sharing resources and bringing that combined effort to address a problem, and address that problem in a way that works for all of those councils and potentially other councils as well. Our review has shown that many councils have already embraced this approach, and KPMG's view of cloud is that this is an opportunity for the whole of the sector to do more in terms of collaboration and in terms of working together. Now we're aware that different organisations have moved forward with cloud at different speeds and are comfortable with cloud to a differing degree, and that's fair enough. It's much easier for an organisation with large amounts of IT resource to be able to experiment with cloud, and it's much less easy for some of the smaller councils, particularly councils where the costs of network and so on are more expensive, to be able to take on these options. As a result, across the sector, there are different degrees of maturity in terms of cloud adoption. That's okay. One of the things that we've done as part of our review is we've identified case studies of initiatives, business initiatives that different councils have adopted. Those case studies are mapped against different degrees of cloud adoption. So if you're not a great adopter of cloud at the moment, there are examples that the MAV can provide to you of case studies that will be pertinent to your situation. If you're more familiar with cloud and your IT people are using cloud for more things, we have examples of that too. And at every level, in terms of your adoption of cloud, there are examples of business outcomes which have benefited the council, often multiple councils, where they've been able to work together to get the advantages of cloud and the advantages of collaboration between the councils. Now, this material is available from the MAV. We have case studies that we've collated, and there's a little booklet that we can provide for you. We've got the MAV Cloud Computing Maturity Model, and it gives examples of what you might be doing with cloud now, some of the functions that you might be concerned about, be it privacy or be it some of the technical issues, and then it maps at each level to these examples, which means we hope that even for a non-technical user, with an understanding of what you're doing with cloud today, there are some examples of things that you might be able to do that are pertinent to the sector, that are relevant to councils, and that give you an idea of what a path forward might be. A key thing we think for every council is for the business to be having a conversation with the IT people about how they can use cloud and to build their own roadmap that gives them a view as to what they can do with cloud, not just to save some IT costs, but to deliver some additional services and to deliver some services more effectively. KPMG is strongly of the view that collaboration across the sector is a very important contributor to the sector being able to deliver more services more effectively, and we think cloud computing is a very important enabler of that process.